COVID itself has been an opportunity, I believe, for the safety professional. In a lot of businesses have looked towards the safety teams for guidance, for understanding, to try to interpret the rules that were given to us and then how they can be transitioned into a new operating model for businesses. And this was forced upon us all. It was a very uncertain time, and it's been a great opportunity for the safety industry or the safety teams in businesses to really demonstrate how they can adapt, interpret those rules, and work with operations to apply them in a practical sense. So I think that the current times have really allowed that. I think moving forward, what will the same people will look towards safety for is to then come out of this and to transition out of this very, I guess, almost fearful state of mind that people have been in towards COVID, and to build up confidence in the controls that are in place to operate just as normal BAU. So one of the areas that is not properly understood is about leading indicators to risks, and what are the best measures for us to assess the safety performance of an organisation. There's been a lot of discuss recently about lag and TRIFR. However, what we need a better understanding of is what are the precursors to these risk events that can lead to the negative consequence events. So, for example, in heavy rail or in light rail, which I work in, there's asset conditions and there are operational conditions which can lead to an unsafe condition that could have a tram-to-tram incident or a derailment, and how we then set up monitoring of each of those can allow the business to take action ahead of those incidents occurring. On a more OHS side, it could be towards the amount of hours that people have worked, the amount of supervision that a job has, the time constraints on the job needing to be done, which could encourage people to take additional risks that they wouldn't normally if time would allow them to. And I don't believe that we have a clear enough understanding of what those are and how to prevent those from causing serious incidents. Unfortunately, I believe that the lead indicators that we have don't tell us that generally.
Really good point. I mean, they haven't evolved much, have they, Joseph? I mean, from a lead indicator. I mean, and we won't include.
Yeah, no, we'll often see as a lead indicator, audits, toolbox talks, safety meetings, all very important things that should occur on sites or in organisations. But do they tell your risk profiles changing? Would they inform leadership that they need to take a change of action to prevent something occurring? Maybe some of the findings from an audit would, but just the audit itself or just the toolbox talk itself would not. So as I say, these are very important things that we need to continue doing, but let's not mistake them for leading risk indicators, which is often the case. So fundamentally, a safety person needs to understand the requirements of their role. So having good risk knowledge, understanding the legislation which applies to the industry that they work in, because the people within that organisation will look to them for that guidance. More to build on that, then how people go about and providing that service is ultimately what's important to the people receiving it. And to do that, then they need to understand the operational context, what is essentially is the purpose of the business and how they go about that. So therefore, then how they can integrate the safety system so it becomes part of the operational system, and it's not a separate entity to the delivery of and the function of that business. And then the other element, which is ultimately important to do that, then is being able to influence. And so to have the credibility in both the first 2 points, and then being able to influence people to change, to improve, to recognize areas of weakness, and the skills to do that then are obviously a lot more than just 3 elements, but that's what I would suggest are what I would look for in somebody. Good question. I was in the oil industry for probably about 4 years longer than what I should have stayed in it. So I was in construction for about 7, 8 years, and then I went into oil and gas for probably about 15. I think I would have done maybe just 10 years in that, and then looked to move into another industry there. And the reason why I say that is there's a hell of a lot that can be learned in oil, and you can spend a whole career in that industry. But there's so much value in moving industries and taking the best of what you've experienced from then and applying it in a different organization or in a different industry. Unfortunately, when you see many roles advertised, they often have as a prerequisite or as a requirement that you've got that industry experience or you've already done that job. And I think safety, as much as any other type of role, I think we should be looking outside of what's already been delivered within that industry and seek to see what can be learned from other experiences, other countries. So yeah, I'd say that would probably be one of the things I would have done differently. Maybe look to have moved a bit sooner into a different industry.
I mean, it's a really refreshing point of view. I agree with you. I think that being able to have a experience in a number of industries gives you that lens of what good looks like. And you're right, you can take it to the next industry and employer and add value.
The advice I would give to them is to learn as much as they can about the operational side of the business as well. So, because ultimately what we want to do is deliver safe services or deliver a safe project. And to do that, the safety person needs to understand how the operation works. And part of our role is to bridge the gap between the legislative requirements, standards into operations. And there's sometimes a disconnect from that. And the best way to do that is be humble, go out, speak to people, ask questions, see what goes on actually at the pointy end, and spend a lot of time out there, a lot of time being inquisitive, and go out and speak to people and don't talk about safety. Go talk about their job. Go get to understand how they go about their daily business and what's important to them. And that will allow you then to better influence the systems which these people have to work to, which then enables the company to be successful as well.